Today I want to talk about exercises. How many exercises do you need in your workout? Do you need 3 or 4 exercises, or do you need more exercises? For me, I feel like this depends. A lot of coaches try to tell people they only need 2 or 3 movements per muscle group, and they'll be able to do as much and build as much strength with those movements. I tend to disagree with that, and today we want to get into why. First, I would like to say it depends on what your goals are and your training level, how much time you like spending in the gym, how many days you go to the gym. These things are important when trying to assess how many exercises you should be doing in a workout. Another thing is, how much do you enjoy actually working out? A lot of times people, they work out because they feel like they have to, and a lot of times after a while they get bored with it. So doing the same movements all the time, 2 to 3 movements, would not just be enough for them. The other thing is, what do you have access to for equipment? Do you have the ability to progressive overload? As you continue to get stronger, do you have the ability to add more load? Are you in a gym setting? Will you have machines? All this stuff matters as well. So when we say things like you only need 3 to 4 exercises, it really depends on what type of lifter you are. If you're a more advanced lifter, that you have competitions or you compete in bodybuilding and you understand how to train to failure, you understand how to train with real intensity and effort, then you're right. You may only need 3 or 4 movements, but are only about 5% of the population falls in that category. A lot of people have fears of lifting heavy. They don't know how to train to failure. Most of the time, if they do train that way, they need a spotter. All these things you have to think about when you're programming and you only have those 3 or 4 movements and you don't get the most out of those movements. You really miss out on building strength in a lot of areas. Another thing to think about is, do you have limitations? Are your ankles limited? Are your knees limited? Are your hips or your shoulders preventing you from getting the most out of these 3 main lifts that people say you only should be doing? So that's a really big part. If you're lifting or you're squatting, you want to make sure the squat is doing everything it should be doing in a squat, or you're not going to be able to get everything out of it. So this is why for myself, I take the approach with more exercises. I don't really enjoy lifting heavy. A lot of times it makes me feel a certain way as far as my body feeling tense and achy. So I lift with a lot of lighter weight sometimes moderate to heavy. So by doing that, I can do more exercises. I can do more repetitions. I can still get that muscle fatigue. I can build different areas of my body. I can train different movement patterns as far as different planes of motion. I can do all these things by doing more exercises. If I only did those 3 or 4 movements, I'll probably only be working in one plane of motion. I'll give you an example for a workout. For a lower body workout, they'll have you do leg press, you'll do back squats, you'll deadlift, and maybe do a leg extension or hamstring curls. And if you do those movements to the point where you have the right effort and intensity and you have a certain amount of load, you're training to failure, then that'll be all you need. The problem with that is you're not training unilateral movement. You're not really improving your stability or your mobility. You're only working in one plane of motion. But while you're improving one area, a lot of other areas are not getting better and they're probably getting worse. So as that continues, at some point you're gonna hit a wall with strength and you'll have to take a step back and not train those movements as intense or as with much load or effort, and you will lose that strength and you probably lose some of the gains. So that's one way to look at it. The other side is training more movements, and not just more movements where it's just a lot of pointless movements, the movements that you don't really need, but movements that allow you to continue to grow in areas as far as strength, mobility, muscle, power, overall just output. You want to focus on movements that give you the most ability to train longer and for long periods of time. So you'll be working in different planes of motion. You'll be working in different ranges of motion, because the objective is to build muscle and strength that you can keep. And by ensuring that your mobility and your stability is continuing to get better as you build more muscle and strength, that will allow you to keep the gains that you're building. Because the objective is to build muscle and strength that you can keep. And by keeping up with your mobility and your stability and just training in different planes of motion, you will allow yourself to be strong for long and not just short-term strength that's built on one plane of motion and just by overloading weight. So here's how I would structure my leg day. I start off by doing kickstand squats. I may do some Cossack squats, lateral lunges. I like to forward lunge. I'll do backwards lunge. I'll do a lot of split squats. I'll do curtsy lunges. I'll do squats on my toes. I'll do pivot lunges. All these movements allow me to train my lower body, my quads, my glutes, but they also allow me to improve my strength, my mobility, my stability, my unilateral strength. So I'm getting core strength, and I'm just building a healthier physique in the sense of strength and mobility. So when you see things like 3 or 4 movements is enough, less is more, you need to make sure that they're talking to you, because if you're someone that can train that way, or you're a competitor, or you're a bodybuilder, or you're someone that just enjoys doing the same stuff all the time just to see the results, then yes, you can do those 3 or 4 movements and get the results from it. But you will be missing out on a lot of things that can improve your mobility, that can improve your stability, your lateral, your range of motion. A lot of movements that are stagnant and just focus on building, they really lack the structure to give you more mobility and stability. So you will be able to build the muscle and strength, but you will miss out on those other things. The last thing is exercise enjoyment. Majority of the population only feel like they work out because they have to. They want to be healthy. They want to be engaged. So they only do these workouts because of that. If you program something for them that's the same 3 or 4 movements and just say continue to build weight on it every week, most of the time those people end up quitting. One, because you have to remember they may not have access to more load. They also may not know how to train that way, so they train to failure. They don't feel safe enough doing it. And they may also just get bored. And if someone gets bored, you can have the best program in the world, 2 movements, 3 movements, but if I get bored and I don't do it, I will never see the results from it. So by adding in different exercises and different variety of movements that are getting you the same goals as those 3 to 4 movements, you kind of keep them engaged and you keep them in it longer. So if they do ever get to the point where they want to hyper focus on just one area and build one area, they can overload those 3 or 4 movements and know why they're doing it, that they're doing it for a purpose, and that they can go back to enjoying other movements once they get through that period. So you have to really focus and understand who you're talking to when you say less is more, because that doesn't fit everyone. So in closing, I would just like to say, just find out what type of person you are as far as in the gym. What do you enjoy? What do you really want to build? What do you really want to get from training in the gym? Do you want to work out for hours on end? Do you only have 30 minutes? All these things really make a difference as far as how many exercises you should be doing. How heavy do you want to lift? I don't like lifting heavy all the time. Most of the time I'll take 5 or 6 months off from lifting heavy. So to get that volume that I need, I have to do more repetitions. And I don't always want to do more repetitions of the same exercise. I may want to do more repetitions of different exercises. So if I do a split squat and I do lunges, those are 2 different exercises. I can get multiple reps throughout those exercises to reach that failure or to reach the strength that I'm looking for. So I would just say explore more movement and understand who you are as a lifter, and to continue to strive to get more gains.